What is perceived by a pure heart and intellect is truth for that moment. Cling to it, and it enables one to reach pure truth. There is no question there of divided duty, but often enough it is difficult to decide what is ahimsa. We have to live a life of ahimsa, nonviolence, in the midst of a world of himsa, of violence. And that is possible only if we cling to truth. Out of truth emanate love, tenderness, humility. A votary of truth has to be humble as the dust. His humility increases with every observance of truth. I see this every moment of my life, he wrote. I have a much more vivid sense of truth and of my own littleness than I had even a year ago. The wonderful implication of the great truth, Brahma Satyam Jaganitya. Brahman is real. All else is unreal. Grows on me from day to day. It teaches us patience. This will purge us of our harshness and add to our tolerance. It will make us magnify the molehills of our own errors into mountains and minimize the mountains of others' errors into molehills. The body persists because of egoism. The utter extinction of the body of egoism is moksha, liberation. He who has achieved this will be the very image of truth. And Gandhiji signed this letter to Bajaj, Bapuna Ashirvad, Bapu's blessings. And what are his blessings? A prayer for peace, a desire for self-liberation, an aspiration for the upliftment of all beings, a call for deeper understanding. What are his blessings for us? There is another message from Gandhiji that seems particularly relevant at this time when all the world seems to be commemorating this 150th birth anniversary. That message of Gandhiji is this. He said, I went to a place where everybody was busy shouting, Mahatma Gandhi ki jai! And everybody was trying to fall at my feet. But no one was willing to listen to me. I find this message of Gandhiji to be extremely important for our own understanding and expression. Countless people around the world will be shouting Mahatma Gandhi ki jai today. Yet how many are willing to listen to him? Who among us is ready to live the ideals of ahimsa, of love? Who among us is willing to live by the ideal of satyagraha, truth? After all, Gandhiji said truth to be real must incarnate in human life. As we are here today, in the capital of the United States of America, and as we reflect the message of Gandhiji, let us recall some of those Americans who met with Gandhiji in India. Though he never visited the United States, Gandhiji did write numerous letters to Americans, including President Franklin Delano Roosevelt. And that letter was conveyed to the president in 1942 by the American journalist Louis Fisher from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, who wrote the biography, The Life of Mahatma Gandhi. Gandhiji also later sent a cable to Mrs. Eleanor Roosevelt upon the death of the president in 1945. Going back earlier, in 1929, Gandhiji wrote a letter to the American historian and sociologist W.E.B. Du Bois from Great Barrington, Massachusetts. The following line from that letter is particularly notable. He said, "Let us realize that the future is with those who would be truthful, pure, and loving." We have in our library in the Gandhi Center a volume of Gandhiji's letters to Americans. You may come and borrow it for your own interest and study. His first known encounter with Americans was within a few days of his arrival in South Africa. We all know of his challenge in taking the train to Pretoria. But after he finally arrived in Pretoria, there was no one to meet him at the train station. An American saw that he was an utter stranger and offered to find him a place to stay. He took Gandhiji to Johnston's family hotel, owned by an American, Mr. Johnston, who accommodated him for the night. Thus begins the lifetime service of a man who dedicates himself to the highest ideals. What a simple beginning, to find himself a stranger in a foreign land and depending upon the compassion and good nature of a fellow stranger. We began this evening with inspirational prayers and scripture verses that graced the ashram prayer meetings led by Gandhiji. He said, "Such worship or prayer is no flight of eloquence. It is no lip homage. It springs from the heart."